is I create a pressure so that I can dictate the space by removing said pressure. But not that it's a great example. Actually, it is a good example here. So if I go to push my hips up and Jason just lifts his arms, like I'm not going to be able to get that same, like, it's his pushing back into me, him trying to maintain these frames, hold those frames, that gives me this, right? Because he's driving back into me. So not the most visceral example, but a decent example.
Yeah.
But same idea. He pushes, just get out of the way. Let's get these two real quick. Anything? That's high guard. It's essentially a triangle position with both arms in, right? And what you're asking is how you get up this high, right? Yeah. So what I find that most people do where it goes wrong, and Flavio made a big deal of this. My first seminar ever was on high guard, actually. Getting excited. Is that they try and stay right here and walk up. And so if I'm here, and even if Jason leans forward and I'm trying to walk up, your legs have crap for posture control here, right? I'm pulling in with my adductors and adductors, and he's just gonna, every time I try to walk, he's gonna posture back up, walk to it. So the key here is to isolate the posture and then change your angle so that I'm not just pulling down. I am pulling down, that's still fairly strong because I'm not pulling to the inside, but I'm also, so when we talk about breaking posture, we always talk about it in an up-down way.
Yeah, and I'm starting to see what I think is you should never ever be straight up.
You shouldn't be as much as possible, but on top of that, let's just talk about the musculature involved here. So what does Jason need to do to get posture here? Sorry, good game. You have to say good game when you pat another man's ass or it gets really weird. When we talk about posture, posture needs to happen with your spine straight, right? So we talk about spinal misalignment a lot. So right here, he can't just posture up for me.
No.
He's got to come back to center. He drives back to center. Now he can posture up.
So,
right?
yeah,
So posture control, two pieces. It's not just pulling down. It's pulling down and getting him off center. Now, here's what's going to happen. And this is how you walk your high guard. He's going to push back to center. As he does, I'm taking my other bite and going the other direction. And now, we're already up over the shoulder. And I just did it in 2 bites. Do it in 10 bites. Do it in 50 bites.
Right.
But the key is to get 90 on your partner over and over and over. And that way you're using better musculature and putting him off his musculature. Because you're strong as hell right here, but here, this is crap. You can't lift anything right here. So just do that, find a better angle, and you learn to use his defense as your offense. One of the best things that Pat ever said to me, Pat was like my Jiu Jitsu guru, and one of the things he used to talk about is let them go where they want to go, but take them further than they want to go. I use that analogy of holding the door, right? Big brother holding the door. You want to come through the door, you just don't want to come through with all that speed and crash into the TV on the other side. So, I say that because I got in trouble for doing that and had my brother crash into the TV and broke it. I am a big brother, and I apologize to all you little brothers out there. But yeah, that concept right there is very strong there. He wants to come back center. Cool, let him. And as he does, kick him the other way and just facilitate your walk.
Yeah, because I think like just having that running in the back of my mind, don't let him center you, be off center when you're trying for rubber guard. That's how I kind of got a little bit more successful with it. So I guess it applies to just
100%. It applies to everything. It applies to all of jiu-jitsu right there.
Center
That right there applies to, is one of the best lessons you can apply. Now, you have to figure out how to apply that lesson to
right,
each
and they're
individual.
always trying to put you in center.
Always.
So, but I mean,
And they should.
trying to switch back
Get to push my hips straight into them because my hips are pointed that way. So if I want to do anything with my hips, I can just hold this in place and drive my hips into it. So it's really the best application of your hips here. Doing the armbar here is actually a really crappy application of your hips because I have to go so far and put them in so much posture and turn to the corner. It still works, but a better application is this one. But no, anyways, yeah, this right here is your single best and quickest attack in the other than this, right? Focusing on the primary details of pulling with the heels, pinching with the knees for a couple reasons. Okay, it's important in the arm bar, but you can break the arm like this, right? It's a fairly weak joint compared to the knee, but it becomes more important when we get to the knee because you can see as it raises the fulcrum. So this, not breaking anything. All I'm going to change here is pinch, and then now we get into a much better one. Now, if I pinch and pull the hips in, see how much it raises the fulcrum and makes everything tighter initially. So focusing on the details of pinching, pulling, and also maintaining the correct fulcrum positioning. So when we talk about breaking a joint, if we're using our hips to do it, right? It's not like the Kimura or anything like that, but any of these, specific type movements. I always want the joint that I'm trying to break just above my point of articulation, okay? Meaning, we bend right here at the top of your iliac crest at the hips, right? So we have a tendency, a lot of people have a tendency to try and place the thing they're trying to break directly on that. Where's your elbow? Right there. So putting that like right there at my point of articulation, but that's crappy. It doesn't work as well, and it's easier for him to pull that out, right? Because the elbow has a little hook we like to utilize. So keeping that joint, whatever the joint is, whatever the point I'm trying to break, at or above my point of articulation. Again, that's right at the top of your iliac crest in this position. So pinch, pull, and now I'm in a much better position, a stronger position to break that arm. So when we come to the knee bar, and all we did was just step over knee bar. I showed a couple different options to get into it, but came over, focusing on driving this knee through the hole, okay? This is the thing I see the most go wrong with people setting this particular knee bar, is that as they come over, they land on their knees, and even though I can pinch, I'm fighting the friction of the mat here, and Mike's just gonna turn his body, and I'm gonna turn Jason, he's gonna turn his body, and I'm gonna lose that knee, okay? So as we come over, maintaining this angle here, and as I come over, I keep that foot on the hip, and I pinch right here, which should make it a lot harder for him to rotate that leg. And then roll, 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 finishing on the side. So correlating it with the arm bar, right? If I just keep my legs wide and I don't pull in with the heels, it takes a long time to break this knee, right? But if I pinch and pull, it's a much shorter distance to break the knee. And focusing on driving the hips forward through the deadlift movement, right? Not utilizing don't let me open this, don't let me break this leg. If I'm just trying to use my lower back to pull here, then I have a titanium lower back. So I drive the world away with my legs.
I have a titanium back.
I'm basically Iron Man, guys.
Yeah.
With the knee bar, you are doing a little push there at the end with the foot?
I'm keeping the heels curled, but driving, so this becomes my point of rotation. So it's pushing and pulling at the same time. It's a great song. Here, like initially, I'm kind of extended here as I'm working, but as soon as I grab this, I'm getting small.
Okay, so turn it into a ball.
Get it? The smaller you get, the more you have to extend. That make sense?
Yeah.
Now, there's a point of diminishing returns there where you're so crunched up that it then becomes hard to extend, but there's a happy medium in there.
All right.
And then last on the knee bar, one thing that I always say, so top side, bottom side, right? I always like to hug it on the bottom side. It's just preference because I feel like if he goes to turn his foot into my head, right, my head's there. If he tries to go the other way, the mat's there, and I like that. I also think this transition is super clean into the toe fold. However, there is a 25-minute video on YouTube where Dean Lister discusses all the pros and cons of top side versus bottom side, and he's much smarter, more accomplished than me, so I'll send you to him to talk about it. But suffice to say, there's a pro and a con to both. I just happen to like the bottom side personally. And then as far as grips go, I always say, I'm sure there's probably other grips. There's the Japanese, things like that. But our primary options here are tombstone or heel grip. I like to mix and match. I'll always go bottom leg, grabs the Achilles right here. That stops the bending of the leg. And then I grab the heel, pinch my elbow to stop the rotation of the leg. And of course, your legs are always pinching. And then of course, if you like Japanese, nothing wrong with Japanese, I just don't like going through all the trouble to get into the Japanese position. But if you have somebody having a really hard time finishing and you can swim through the Japanese, it's arguably the most powerful, but it just requires the most movement too, and I don't like that movement. So player's choice, but I personally like the half tombstone, grab the heel and finish. And just keep in mind, knee bar is the single, not because of nuance, just because of physicality. It's one of the hardest submissions in jiu-jitsu to finish. You're fighting the biggest bones, biggest muscles in your partner's body. It's easily doable, but comparative to other attacks, it's the hardest submission to finish just because of the muscles and bones that you're attacking. So keep that in mind when you're doing it. Set it up perfect. Do you have another question? I tell everybody, getting good at leg locks, you could not, you don't have to be strong to do jiu-jitsu. You don't have to be. But it makes jiu-jitsu a hell of a lot easier. Yeah. So the thing I would focus on more than anything, if you're a leg locker, even if you're not a leg locker, just across the board, because it works great for maintaining a mount in the back and other positions as well, but is this pinch right here. Get yourself a small ball, like one of those yoga balls, or even like a I'm gonna say four-square ball, I don't know what it's called, but we all know what a four-square ball is, right? And I used to just sit with it between my legs and just hold that isometric squeeze. Or when I first started renting Professor Stout's place, there's a Thigh Master in their bedroom, and I would, just sit in front of the TV and just squeeze that Thigh Master forever with that isometric hold, not pumping it. You don't have to, that doesn't really do anything for you. The no eye contact machine at the gym, you all know that one, right?
Yeah.
Right, that one. So when you're done with your workout, put the whole stack on that thing, hold it, and see how long you can hold it for, let it off, and then but it's that hold that you want. It's that squeeze. It's not necessarily the ability to move a bunch of weight and then open it back up. It's how long can you hold this, because that's what we're doing, right? Holding in that pinch. But that pinch will improve, again, both your mount and your back control, but really, in scenarios like this or any leg lock position, that Ashi position especially, that pinch is everything. So focus on that pinch, spend some time with it. So maybe in this particular case with the knee bar, let's just say, so if I was of the mind that I wanted to come through here and attack the knee bar Japanese style, right? I wouldn't be hunting with this hand, right? I'd be hunting with this hand and going right into my knee bar with that in mind. So just make it, don't think of your Japanese style as a secondary option, make it your primary option. And the great part about going for the knee bar especially is his way out of that is gonna put you right in honey hole every single time. So if I go over and I fail that grip, the only reason that's gonna fail is he's not gonna, if I get my elbow behind there, he's not gonna curl his leg, he's gonna change his, right? And then we're right into honey hole. So be careful for IBJJF. Well, you don't have to worry about, you can't knee bar on IBJJF anyway. But in that transition, if it goes wrong, you're still in a positive position. So, but that's what I would suggest. Try that, is hunt it as your primary, not as your secondary. For those of you wondering, we call it Japanese just because traditional jiu-jitsu, Japanese jiu-jitsu, does all their stuff this way. Because it is incredibly powerful.
Over.
Shoot the zombie and then make your rotation.
Oh, okay.
But get the arm first. So get the arm with an overhook instead of an underhook. So if we were there, to illustrate. So for those of you who don't know what I mean when I start talking about zombie, is in the or Night of the Living, what is it? Night of the Undead or is it zombie? It's zombie, right?
It's zombie where the hand comes up.
So I'm here, right? And I'd be up in a little bit higher guard. I'm not capable, but use your imagination. Is I punch through here and isolate the arm like so. And
Because like I'll get the arm over, no problem. And
you'll get this arm over, so
Yeah,
you
and
so
I'll
you
be-
punch through.
I'll be
here.
threatening like rubber guard or whatever, but they stay centered and smash me like they should.
Yeah.
And then that's
So come on down.
So like, and then from this sort of rough position, I'm trying to attack.
So if you're trying to get the rotation around the
Yeah.
double basically. So for the rotation here, utilize this arm. So get your foot up on the hip, really isolate this arm, come under this one, and treat it like a straight arm bar. That'll get that angle for you, and then come
I
over to
can
here.
attack.